If you want to start learning to be a filmmaker today, where do you even start? I started my filmmaking journey back in 2016, which makes me feel old, by accidentally becoming a wedding videographer. It took me about 4 years to become confident in my skills, and on top of that, I was 100% self-taught, for better or worse. But it doesn't have to take you that long. Today, you can expedite the process and go full-time in 6 months to a year, depending on your niche and how bad you want it. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would become a filmmaker if I were starting from scratch today. Now, before we continue, I have to define what becoming a full-time filmmaker even means, at least specifically for this video. When I say you can become full-time, this doesn't mean that you'll have the house of your dreams, you'll be living in LA and fly to set on your private helicopter. Not anywhere near that. What I mean is you'll be able to pay your bills and live comfortably while also doing the thing that you love. Now, after you become established, you can start working on that private helicopter and give me a phone call. I would love to fly around. Also, in the context of this video, I sort of blend working as a freelance DP and starting a production company because that's ultimately what I did. However, all this information is relevant to both of those paths, either individually or together. So keep that in mind. Before we get into the thick of this conversation, we have to address something a little controversial in the filmmaking space. That thing being AI. Is it even worth becoming a filmmaker when AI videos are getting so good to the point where it's a little scary for some people? What's the point when someone can use AI to create a video that's faster and probably cheaper? Well, I have some great news for you. Filmmaking will not be replaced by AI, and I can tell you exactly why. Models like Sora, for example, are impressive. They really are. But they have some significant limitations that you simply can't ignore, and people, for some reason, like to. If you watch an AI-generated video, they seem to be missing something. Now, what is that something exactly? It's the human element. The videos feel fake. They feel lifeless. There aren't imperfections in the lighting. There's no natural camera movement. And the people they generate, well, at least as of right now, they don't feel or look completely human. I mean, they're not, so I guess that makes sense. Now, this isn't just me standing on a soapbox talking to you with rose-colored glasses on. Everything's gonna be great, even though it's not. Because Coca-Cola released a TV commercial completely generated by AI. And guess what? It bombed. Like, really bad. Now, was it impressive? Yeah, absolutely. But it lacked what makes Coca-Cola commercials so great in the first place. Human connection. Whoever conceptualized this commercial, I think they should be fired because it was so disconnected. It truly was. Part of being a successful filmmaker is knowing what tools to use for different situations, and AI is no different. It's a tool we can use to our advantage, but in my personal opinion, in a different way. If I was starting over, I would be using models like ChatGPT or my favorite, Google Gemini, to generate scripts for commercial or client work. Writing a great script is extremely difficult, like it's its own profession in and of itself. And what makes it even more difficult is if you're not great with words, like myself. Don't stress about creating the perfect script, especially the first draft. It's just simply not realistic. Plus, if you're working with a client, chances are they'll want changes anyways. Sometimes they even want a complete rewrite, which can be extremely heartbreaking, especially if you spent hours trying to create what you thought was the perfect script. Additionally, sending the first draft of a script quickly will set you apart from your competition. Speed is valuable. Keep that in mind when working with commercial clients if that's you. But on the topic of competition, don't look at them as enemies. I'm not afraid to admit that this was a huge mistake that I made, and it probably slowed my growth down by about 2 to 3 years, and that's not an exaggeration. This next little section of the video is extremely important, and if there's only one thing you were to take away from this video, let it be this. You have to be willing to put your ego aside and embrace community over competition. Now, why are you supposed to do that? Because chances are you're not as good as you think you are, especially if you're just starting out, but that's okay, and it's not your fault. So stick with me here. You see, this is called the Dunning-Kruger effect in psychology, which basically means that people with limited knowledge or skills in a certain area overestimate their abilities. It's basic human nature. Now, side note, this is why it's important to seek constructive feedback and not just praise for your work. Now, everybody starts somewhere, and in order to grow, sometimes you have to honestly get out of your own way. I wish I would have done the same thing earlier. Filmmaking is a team effort, and you'll often hear the phrase, "it takes a village," and it's true. I want you to look at any behind the scenes of how movies are made. The sheer amount of people that go into making a movie it's mind-blowing. Now, obviously, that's the most extreme example I can give, but even on commercial shoots or even indie films, it takes a village, large or small, especially if you want to move quickly on set. This is a huge mission when you're starting out. The idea that you'll be able to work quicker with a smaller team is just simply not true. And in my opinion, this idea is rooted in both inexperience and the inability or sometimes unwillingness to pay one or more people to assist with a shoot. Now, on the topic of sort of networking, you'll hear people talk about these networking events like they're the holy grail. And to me, non-filmmaker specific networking events are a complete waste of time. Keyword being non-filmmaker. It's just a bunch of people wanting to hand out their business cards, and the events themselves are usually pretty awkward and the relationships aren't genuine. They feel more so transactional. So instead, connect with local filmmakers on social media, collaborate on small projects, and build real, genuine relationships with people. You yourself should even connect with new filmmakers after you start your journey. Assist them with theirs. Just because they lack technical skills in some aspects doesn't mean they lack vision. And together, you might be able to come up with a creative solution to a problem for a project. As you grow, this network will be invaluable to you. Trust me. And if you're thinking to yourself, okay, cool, yes, I get it. Connect with people, connect with other filmmakers. But how do I even do that? Some of you aren't going to like my answer, and that is social media. If that answer made your skin crawl, I'm sorry, but I do have some uncomfortable news. You have to make social media your best friend. And I'm not saying you have to be on every platform, and honestly, I don't even advise it, at least at the start. But I am saying you should choose at least one and post your content. Good, great, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter, just post. And it will, and I mean it will, be a major revenue driver for you. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the Instagram or even YouTube paying you because your video went viral and you got a lot of views, whatever. It's more about keeping your name and your brand in the forefront of everybody's mind. Everybody's busy this day and age. It is what it is. So if someone is in need of a filmmaker or even a production company, they'll typically think of the first 2 or 3 names that come to their mind immediately, and then they'll reach out to those people. Why do those 2 or 3 people come to their mind first? Well, more often than not, it's because they recently worked with them, or they saw their work on social media, just mindlessly doom scrolling through Instagram. Even if they didn't like or even comment on one of your posts, people are still watching your content. You want to be one of those names that pop into people's heads, and social media is the most effective way to build that online presence and ultimately build trust with people. Now, this is just to drive this point home. This isn't like a flex or anything like that. But when I still had my wedding videography business, about 30% of the revenue that we made came from just casually posting to Instagram, just Instagram. And that total was about $50,000 a year. On top of that, there were numerous connections that I made with other filmmakers, just again, from casually posting. So pick a platform and just post. But if you don't have anything to post, what should you do? And I'll probably get some crap for this, but you should shoot for free. I would need more than 2 hands to tell you how many people told me not to shoot for free. And they were experienced, at least in my mind they were, so I listened to them. And do you know what I shot in the meantime? Nothing. I shot absolutely nothing. I was wasting time because I didn't want to be the one who was devaluing the industry in my area, or whatever people say now. But you don't need to worry about that because it's not a thing. It's not a thing. If you want to speed up the learning process, you have to get out in the wild and shoot. It's literally that simple. No amount of watching YouTube videos can replace real world experience, even watching mine. So get out there and shoot. Shooting for free also gives you the opportunity to discover what you love and maybe what you don't love shooting. And that's extremely valuable. Now, just if you do that, just protect yourself with clearly written expectations, and that's a whole different thing. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Now, once you start getting work, should you worry about people that are not necessarily new and working for free like you did, but are charging basically next to nothing to do what you think is good work? No, you shouldn't worry about them at all. But why? It's basic human psychology. People look at what you charge and someone who charges pennies in comparison and say to themselves, well, if this person charges this much less, how could they possibly be any good? Back when I was shooting weddings, I had a photographer that I absolutely loved working with, worked with her for the first time, and she asked how much I charged because she wanted to refer me to her clients. Super stoked on that. And I think I was charging like $1,500 or something like that at the time. And she looks at me and says, oh, I can't refer you. And here I thought she was either joking or I thought it was because my price was way too high. But then she looked me dead in the eyes and said, you don't charge enough. My clients, they won't book with you because in their mind, there's no possible way that you can be good at that price point. And I swear, she never referred me. I couldn't believe it. But I was very new at the time, so I didn't understand, but she was right. She was completely right. Now, shooting for cheap or even free will allow you to find a niche that you enjoy working in. I'm fairly confident that don't niche down is some of the worst advice I was ever given. And no doubt it was said with good intentions because the person that I was talking to, I trusted them and they believed that casting a wide net of potential clients just made more sense. It made more sense to me. It's just more people, right? However, that's a trap. When you niche down, you put yourself in a position to be the guy or girl and not a guy or girl in a particular niche. You want someone to watch your show reel, if you have one, and see that your work reflects exactly what they're looking for in a filmmaker. If you want to showcase two different things, like say fitness and indie films, for example, then make two totally different show reels. It's infinitely better to have two smaller reels that are specific opposed to one long one with just random work sprinkled in. Also, side note, pet peeve of mine, don't say my niche is insert city name, filmmaker / production company. That's not a niche. That's just a lack of clarity. So let's move on. So when you start shooting, will your first videos be great? No, they'll probably be terrible. And they're supposed to be, but practice makes progress. And a film or video that you may find mediocre may be valuable to someone else out there. You don't know. So get your bad videos out of the way early because nobody's watching you. So just get it out there. That way you have a foundation to build your skills on. Now it's time for what you probably thought this video was about, which is what gear do I need to be a filmmaker? What gear would have you gotten before you started jumping into this to become a filmmaker? So we're approaching the end of the video and I'm just now getting to the part where I'm going to talk a little bit about gear. So I'm curious, are you surprised that gear is one of the last points that I'm going to make? Let me know down in the comments. Now, I'm by no means, like at all, a gear doesn't matter guy, because it does. Gear does matter, especially when you're on shoots with larger budgets. However, if you were to buy an Arri Alexa Mini LF right now, and it came in the mail the next day, how many people would you have knocking on your door tomorrow because you bought that camera? I love camera gear a lot, trust me. And there's a really good chance that you do too. That's how we're wired. But it's not the most important thing to progress. It's not even the second, third, or fourth thing that will actually push you to where you want to be. However, when you do start investing in gear, you should invest in audio first, then lighting, and then finally upgrade your camera. And that's painful. It's painful to say, especially because I'm looking at a new camera right now. Do I need it? No, I don't. I just want it. I say invest in good audio first because people can forgive something that's poorly lit or even a low resolution video, but they can't forgive bad audio. Imagine if this entire video sounded like this, like the whole time. Would you still be listening this far? Probably not. Then after you have a decent microphone that fits your needs, you need to invest in some quality lighting. Quality is subjective, but just get some things that fit your needs. Lighting will have the biggest impact on your image, not a new camera. Again, painful as I look at one, But if you don't have a camera, just use your phone. And I know everybody says that, but it's true. Because if you don't start by simply using your phone and instead wait until you get a real camera, when will that be? When will you start? You have to use what's on hand or you'll never start. And as a bonus, guess what's a great source of income today? Not just shooting, income. Social media specific content. So whip out that phone and create some vertical content for people, clients, businesses, whoever, and then get paid to create, all while taking that money and saving it up for a new camera. And don't be afraid to turn that phone sideways, shoot horizontal, and start making some social media content to post. Don't care what other people think. There are lots of videos out there on YouTube and just really any social media site that will show you that phones these days are capable. They really are, especially if you have lighting. If you have good lighting, you're good. You're good. So with that, does gear matter? Yeah, of course it does. But creating something is always, and I mean always, better than creating nothing at all. Now, the last thing I would do if I wanted to become a filmmaker, started from scratch, is to learn from filmmakers, not YouTubers. Now, I know that sounds insane saying this on YouTube, and this isn't me saying that a YouTuber can't be a filmmaker, because they can. A lot of them are. However, what I am saying is don't get sucked into the channels that solely focus on gear reviews and studio tests, things that are not done in the real world. I mean, not that studio tests aren't done in the real world with charts and things like that, because they are, but things change when you're on set. So learn from those who either have or are currently working as filmmakers. And if that sounds of interest of you, definitely subscribe to this channel. Filmmaking isn't just a passion of mine, it's a profession. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing I love more than teaching filmmaking. If you made it this far in this video, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them down in the comments or shoot me an email. I'll pop my email address up right here. And I'm happy to help you in any way I can. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.